Okay. Just once again, let me confirm whether I'm clearly audible or not.
Yes, sir, we are audible.
Okay. So my name is Jignesh Bhatt, and thank you very much, Dr. Urvi Patel, and all the faculty members, organizing committee members, head of the department, principal sir, for giving me this opportunity to share my experiences. This is not an expert session. This would be a kind of an interactive session. We will try to make it. Okay. So today I'm going to discuss, or rather present on review on smart grid and critical applications and parameters. Before that, let us have one brainstorming, little brainstorming. Okay. We all are using mobile phones, and whenever we use a mobile phone, we are taking the services of a company, right, which is known as telecommunication company. Now, what we do if we are not satisfied with the company's service? The participants can answer the question. What we do if I am not satisfied with the, or we are not satisfied with the services of a company?
We basically lodge a complaint or
Okay.
against that what we have not received.
And in spite of that, suppose the company is not improving the service, what we do?
We go to tribunal.
Okay. But the simplest option is we change the company.
Yes,
right?
definitely.
And for that, mobile number portability, mobile number portability is a kind of a facility provided by the regulator, which is TRAI, Telecom Regulatory Authority of India. TRAI has provided this facility that without changing your phone number, without changing your mobile number, you can move from one service provider to another service provider. Agreed?
Sure, sir. Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
But this kind of facility we are not getting elsewhere. For example, if I am not satisfied with the service of an electricity company who is providing me electricity, who is providing me electricity at my home, at my factory, at my work, right? I don't have portability there. How about if I get such a kind of portability that I will get a menu, I will get a display in which I can select from a menu that, okay, right now say X power company is providing me a service, rather electricity at this rate, and I click that button, I select that button, and that company's power will be mapped to my home instantly, right? This happens specifically in the situations where you are getting the power cut, or where you are getting the differential kind of unit pricing, right, during the peak time and off peak hours. Okay. So for example, let's say I'm staying in Ahmedabad, and in Ahmedabad during peak hours, suppose the Torrent Power, who is my utility company, is providing me, let's say, 5 rupees per unit or 7 rupees per unit. But suppose somebody like Suzlon, who is available at Dwarika, and they are generating the power from the windmills, or somebody who is available at, let's say, Tata Power is available at Mundra, Panandro and Kutch, and they are generating power using the solar, and they can give me at affordable costing. Okay. So if I select that, right, I will get the cheaper power available at my home. If that kind of facility is provided, how interesting it would be, right? We can definitely create a lot of optimization. There are areas where the electricity in some duration of time period is available in excess, and there at the same point of time there are some areas in the country where the electricity in scarcity, because this is because we are having a legacy old grid, which is not smart grid, which is not intelligent grid. It does not know anything except transferring power from one place to another place, from utility side to the consumer side, right? The grid has to be smart. The grid has to be smart, right? And it should be able to serve in bidirectional. Why should I be only a consumer if I am able to produce power also? For example, if I am having a farm, if I'm having a big, large size occupation, large size factory, right? I can have solar panels and I can generate power. Right now, people are doing that. Okay, but that power is redeemed. That power is given as a additional benefit, or credit to their electricity bills, which are subsequently coming. They are not able to sell that power, right? So ultimately, we are consumers only. How about we are producer plus consumer? This is a new buzzword today, in terms of electrical engineering, in terms of sustainable growth of these cities, right? That is called prosumers. The consumers have to be prosumers. So consumer will not only consume power, they will also produce the power, and that power they can sell online. I hope many of you might have heard about IEX, right? India Energy Exchange. India Energy Exchange is a place where the electricity is sold and purchased, right? So Gujarat is many times in excess of power, which we are selling to other states via India Energy Exchange. How about we can directly sell those kind of things, or we can have the control as a prosumer. We have the control that if cheap power is available across the country, right now it is across the state, but it will be extended across the country. Suppose somebody is able to sell me power at a cheaper rate, why should I not get that benefit? At the same time, we don't have facility to store power, and that is why whomsoever is available with power, he has to sell or he has to let it go, right? So this is unoptimized usage of power. The key to this is smart grid. When the grid will become smart, well, the grid will become intelligent, right? It will create the flow of not only power but information. Which information? The information will contain two things: who is in need of power and who is able to supply the power. The grid will be a bridge to connect both these entities: who is able to give power and who is in need of power at the best optimized rate. First. Second, not only in India but globally, all the country governments are going ahead for mega urban as well as rural infrastructure renewal, and for under that they are taking up large scale infrastructure power, in which the main part is electricity. 24/7 high quality electricity providing is the mandatory requirement if we have to grow our cities, legacy cities, in terms of smart city, right? So smart grid is energy backbone of smart city. Smart grid is going to be energy backbone of smart city. Can we have a next slide, please? Smart grid will be a key to sustainable future, as this as the theme of this FDP is, right? So in this discussion, rather session, we shall begin with the introductory part and India's power projection we will look at. Then we will have introduction about the smart grid, how to realize the smart grid in a true sense, what are the domains and subsystems, what is the model and conceptual architecture of the smart grid, what are the critical applications, main applications, critical applications, and what services they are offering, what is advanced metering infrastructure, and how using wireless communication technologies and IoTs we can implement it. Next, we shall see a discussion on critical applications as well as parameters. We shall see what are the critical applications, what are their requirements, and what are the parameters, and how they are acting as a bottleneck or key performance indicator for any smart grid project. We shall also look at the instrumentation engineer's perspective on the smart grid. Then we shall review the smart grid projects, pilot projects, and large scale projects in India, their communication requirements, what government of India has done via power grid and via national smart grid mission, that we shall see. And we shall discuss one case study of Uttar Gujarat વીજ Company Limited, UGVCL's Naroda Ahmedabad smart grid pilot project. At the end, we shall have a look at our contributed publications, and then we shall conclude this presentation. Okay, so at any point of time, if any participant is interested or to ask a question or query, please feel free to raise hand. Please feel free absolutely to disturb me, right? Do not hesitate. Or you can post your question in the chat box also. Chat box is right open in front of me. I'm looking at the chat box. All right. Once again, Urviji, can you confirm whether I am clearly audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Because of this technical issues, I will keep taking this feedback. Sorry. All right. So here are the India's power projections. Total, India's capacity is 223.63 gigawatts. Out of them, most of it is thermal at present. 151.68 is almost 70% or so, right? It is thermal. And small 4%, 4.78 gigawatt is nuclear, 39% is hydro, and 27% is renewable. And this 27% we are focusing upon to increase as much as possible. Many of you might have seen the annual general meeting of the behemoth company Reliance Industries Limited last week, right, in which Dr. Mukesh Ambani has declared that the Reliance Industries Limited is going to come in this renewable energy and sustainable energy in a very, very large scale, right? And they are going to have a very large project in the Jamnagar where their refinery is there, right? So unless and until you increase this portion of renewable, because see, nuclear, we are not that much, safety point of view, we are not that much confident. Further, the international experiences are also very critical and difficult. So at this junction, further hydro is dependent upon the nature and other things. So the most important source is solar and the other renewable sources like wind. So we are focusing upon that. You can see in this chart that from 2006 to 2034, the energy consumption is rising continuously, and it is projected to rise by 2031-32 by 4 times. Right, that means 400% massive growth is able to see in the power consumption and definitely in terms of power generation. Right, then that is why this is an area to look at. This is an area to work upon. This is an area where a lot of research work is going on, as well as future research work will be continued, as well as a lot of consultancy scope is there. Next slide, please. Right. So without wasting much time on the other things, right, let us first discuss or focus upon the main point of our discussion, smart grid. What is smart grid and how it is different from the conventional grid? As we have discussed in the example in the beginning of this session, smart grid is bidirectional grid. Smart grid is an intelligent grid. Smart grid is having smartness in terms of understanding where the load is fluctuating, where the load is increasing, and at the same time the smart grid can also predict what is going to be the short term, medium term, and long term future load, right? So smart grid is having that prediction softwares available. Based on that model prediction softwares available, right, the smart grid will start accelerating the generation of the electricity production. Further, there are different types of power utility companies can join the same grid. Right now, depending upon the requirement. For example, in Gujarat, LDC Jambua. Jambua is a place where state load dispatch center of Gujarat is commissioned, and from there they are controlling the entire state grid. And whichever area is in scarcity, right, that area's message will be displayed on that LDC Jambua, this kind of control room station, and LDC Jambua will cut off somewhere power supply and divert that power supply based on the criticality and based on the requirement or priority, right? That is what we are doing. Instead of that, the smart grid will do prediction that in summer season this area is heavily occupied with the air conditioners, or it is a completely urban area, metropolitan area, and the consumption of electricity is going to shoot up. Similarly, during the night time, the consumption is going to be shot up. Similarly, during the winter season, the consumption is going to fall. So weather based predictions, similarly the past data based prediction, similarly event based predictions. Some events are regularly organized in some areas, some companies are going to have a planned shutdown. All those data are embedded in the smart grid, and the prediction based actions are taken by the smart grid. Similarly, one important problem when we are having renewables in the grid, right, that they are providing a lot of fluctuations in terms of connectivity, in terms of power availability, right? Because the wind availability cannot be ensured, because the solar doesn't work in the night period. And that is why when we are connecting the renewables in the grid on the on-grid format, right, they offer a lot of fluctuations in the grid, and they have a very important impact, very crucial impact on the stability of the grid many times. And smart grid will look at those areas specifically where the renewables are getting connected, because now everybody will have renewables, solar rooftops at every home, right? Every large factories, every large occupancies, every government organization will have solar installations. And based on that, the smart grid will predict and arrange the situation, arrange the necessary things, so that those fluctuations will be locally damped out or absorbed, and they will not be reflected in the entire state level grid, right? Next slide, please. A smart grid is an evolved grid system that manages electricity demand in a sustainable, reliable, and economic manner. I see economic manner is very important manner, because the power plant, if we are running a machine, let's say we are running a machine, right, where the raw material is being imported from countries like Australia and running a machine here, right? Most of the power stations are running based on the coal brought from the purchased from the Australia, like Adani Power Station, right? So that is why economy is a very important aspect here. The day by day, the thermal power stations are getting costlier, and not a cost-effective solution. So economy we have to focus upon. Similarly, they are built on advanced infrastructure and ICT technologies, and they are tuned to facilitate integration of all the involved, right? Not only the consumer is involved, not only the utility company is involved, lot many other parties are also involved, that we shall see subsequently. They are all stakeholders of this smart grid. A smart grid is a modernized electrical grid that uses ICT technology, information and communication technology, together and act on the information, such as information about the behaviors of suppliers, consumers, in an automated fashion, to improve the efficiency, reliability, economics, and sustainability of the production and distribution of electricity. So this is all about the smart grid and integrated communication and power infrastructure, right? Which is allowing the two-way communication. Okay, next slide, please. Right. So how do we realize a smart grid? The existing grid, it is unidirectional communication with the customer, right? But in the smart grid, it is a modern grid where the customer will have a reliable source of power, which is very important. We have started something and suddenly the power goes off, right? That is quite frustrating. It provides integration of lot of different types of power sources. It also integrates local small level microgrid as well. It provides flexibility, right? Which utility company's power I have to select, and instantly that power starts coming to my home, right? As soon as I select it. It provides me affordability, right? The economics. It provides me new services that we shall also see, and innovative products. Similarly, for the utility, it is bidirectional power, bidirectional transfer of power as well as the information. Who is consuming? Right now, there are so many areas where the electricity consumption is going on, but people are not paying the bill, right? Because the power theft is a major issue, and those kind of things can be prevented. So bidirectional information transfer, bidirectional power transfer, integration of distributed generators, right? So there are different types of electricity producers spread across the entire city, spread across the entire country, and that also we can integrate based on somebody might be generating power using wind, somebody might be generating power using solar, somebody might be generating using nuclear even, or hydel or tidal or hydro. So all those things, based on their nature of generation, based on their production level, based on their capacity, right, they can be integrated without much fluctuations, of course. Then integration of renewables, microgrids, and islanding. Islanding is a feature where a particular small area which is scattered by the microgrid is having a problem. It will be isolated, and as soon as it is repaired, restored, it can be restored back. That is called islanding. Similarly, the grid will have a very unique feature of self-healing, right? This is something very important and miraculous. For example, if the grid will have a problem, any kind of a problem, the grid will try to find out what problem it is having. Number one, it will diagnose the problem on its own. It is having self-diagnostic features, and it will provide the solution. It will heal itself, right? Of course, the operators are there, but these are the unique features a grid is having. Okay. And improved asset utilization, of course. If we all do this, right, the much better optimized asset utilization will be taking place. Next slide, please. Right. So who are the stakeholders? As you can see in this slides, the operations, the utility company who is doing this operations, right? The service provider, right? Then the customer, we are here. Okay. Distribution network. Nowadays in the entire country, the new transformation of the electricity boards is taking place, where the producing company, distribution company are different, right? So generation, transmission, distribution, all are separately taken over by different stakeholders or different companies, different organizations, and that is why it is shown here. This is IEEE's standard diagram of smart grid. All are integrated in one grid, right? And all are having bidirectional data transfer between them, right? Similarly, a distribution company, transmission company, bulk generation company, and all are connected with the common thing called market, right? So market based, requirement based generation and provision of the electricity, that is called smart grid. Smart grid is having major three subsystems. Main important subsystem is smart infrastructure subsystem. Second important subsystem is smart management subsystem, and the third important subsystem is smart protection subsystem. So what smart infrastructure subsystem takes place? Let's have a quick view. Smart infrastructure system includes generation of power. It includes this communication, information and communication technology, or bidirectional communication, as well as smart management takes care of this market, load profiling, energy loss, energy optimization, those kind of things. Similarly, management tools it is having to solve the managerial problems, techno managerial problems like optimization, right? Rerouting of power if there are areas with cable cut or those kind of areas. Right? And the smart protection system, in brief, it will take care of the failure and reliability related issues. Okay, next slide, please. Here is a conceptual IEEE smart grid model, right, which is very popular. Many of you might have seen, where all the stakeholders are interconnected. Okay, let's try to understand this. First comes the bulk generation, right? They take care of the production. They are having the generators. They are having the plant control systems like distributed control system, DCS, right? At this point of time, I will take a minute to clarify the difference between SCADA and DCS. Many times there are misunderstanding between SCADA and DCS. SCADA is supervisory control and data acquisition system. SCADA is a distribution monitoring and supervising system. SCADA is never taking care of any production, right? SCADA is a supervisor. For example, in an examination, we all are faculty members. In an examination, we have junior supervisors, we have senior supervisors, but the answer scripts are not written by us, right? It is written by the end user, which is called student. The student is writing the answer scripts, right? So student is the utility company producing the power. It is analogous to power production company, utility company. They are the bulk generators. Okay, Then what is our role? Our role is to supervise the things. Our role is to ensure that the stationery related like graph papers, etc., everything is available in sufficient quantity and timely available. Right? It is our role to ensure that in free and fair, unfair means are not taking place, and free and fair environment the examinations are conducted, right? Timely conducted and timely completed. And that is why we are the supervisors. We get the things done. Similarly, the SCADA system, it is supervisor. It is not the producer, right? If you go to any utility company's power station, you will not get SCADA system there. No. They are all having distributed control system, which are fully automatic plant management control system. In any SCADA system, I am generalizing this statement. In any SCADA system, the supervisory computers or network which are network of computer which are there in the supervisory network are not generating controller output PIDs, right? They are generating set points for the plants. So for example, in Gujarat, if we take an example of Gujarat, we are having large number of different types of power stations. For example, in Ahmedabad, in Sabarmati, we have a thermal power station of AEC, Torrent Power, right? And that is based on thermal. Similarly, in Sabarmati, in Vatva, the same Torrent Power is having gas-based power station. Similarly, in Kutch, we are having Adani's and Tata Power, both are based on thermal, that is coal-based power station. Nearby the Dwarika, we have Suzlon windmills, right? There are different types of power station nearby, probably Surat or in Mitividi, Bhavnagar also we are going to have one nuclear-based power station. So there are different types of power stations we have. All these power stations are having one single control system, which is there in the control room, which is distributed control system. All power stations are generating power based on different types of production process. Somebody is using coal based, somebody is using wind based, somebody is using solar. In power in Patan, Charanka, we are having a very large solar power station, right? That means processes are different of producing electricity, as well as the control system has to be different, right? They're all control systems are equipped with distributed control systems, right? And they are doing the job of local plant control. While in LDC Jambua, State Load Dispatch Center Jambua, we are having SCADA system. This is state-wise SCADA, right? They are looking upon the instantaneous values of the requirement. Where is the scarcity of power and where is excess power? Wherever there is an excess power, they map that excess power to the area where the scarcity of power is there, right? And that is, they are having this SCADA system. So the SCADA system's role is to supervise the power production and distribution rather than actually doing the power production. I hope this concept is clear. I could make it clear. Are you getting me? A verbal feedback, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please feel free to ask me or disturb me if you have any questions. Okay, so as you can see here, the plant control system is mentioned, and that is distributed control system, fully computerized, right? But here, if you see in operations, you can see transmission SCADA, RTO SCADA, distribution SCADA. All these SCADA systems are just sending the requirements in terms of set point. For example, thank you, Pratna. For example, let's say somebody is nearby Dwarika, is in scarcity of power, right? And they say that, okay, we need power and we need, let's say, 10 megawatt of power within 1 hour, okay? But the Suzlon is not having that much amount of wind, right? They are not able to generate that power. So what LDC Jambua or State Load Dispatch Center will do, they will ask somebody, okay, Torrent Power, Ahmedabad, can you produce extra 10 megawatt? Do you have the capacity? Do you have the coal? If they say yes, their power production will be increased and that power will be met. So that is a coordination part this SCADA is doing, right? So SCADA is a coordinator here. And so bulk generation is a utility company. Operations means the coordinator or state load dispatch center. Service provider means the utility billing and that kind of company which is taking care of the all accounts. Similarly, the premises network, here we are staying, here the customers are staying, right? And our consumption meters, our consumption devices, and all those things are here. and last is transmission, which are connected with this, right? All those things, all those subsystems are connected with the one entity called market, right? So every data is routed via market. If somebody, some customer, maybe a residential consumer, maybe industrial consumer or commercial consumer, right, is in scarcity of power, the requirement will go to market first. From the market, the rerouting will take place towards the bulk generator via the operations subsystem, right? Somebody has asked a question, sir, if Pramila Das is asking a question, sir, if we are going to use microgrid where we have non-conventional energy sources, in case, how will we be able to find constraints of the optimization? Okay, in microgrids, all the entities, including the residential or industrial consumers, they will have small windmills, small solar power generator PV cells, right? And all are the non-conventional renewables, right? And the constraints of optimization that we shall discuss in the subsequent slide. Thank you. So can we have a next slide, please? Yes. So how the conceptual architecture of the SCADA look like? Here is the premise, right? Here we have the local devices. I am going from left to right. Okay. So it starts with the premise of a consumer, where we have the meters, where we have the displays, where we have the distribution transformer monitoring sensors, right? And then we are having the local control devices, right, which are consuming power. It is having three types of network, mainly the home area network, and different home area network are connected with the variable, I mean, in one society kind of environment, or in one small group, and that is called neighborhood area network, and ultimately it is connected with the backhaul, right? So here in the home area network, we have the small range communication technologies like Zigbee and other things, and then it is connected with the neighborhood area network, where we have the Wi-Fi or even WiMAX, or we can have cellular connectivity also, and ultimately we will have a backhaul network which will connect this entire data towards the MDMS, meter data management system, at the utility level, right? This is for the billing purpose. Okay. Chandni has asked a question, how will consumer report their requirement? I will get back to that. Okay. And Nageshji, the organizers will definitely provide the PPTs. Can we have the next slide, please? Right. So this is the integration: generation, transmission, distribution, industrial, service, and residential. All are integrated. How they are integrated? The main source of integration, main bridge of integration is ICT, right? Information Communication Technology. At different levels, the requirement of communications are different. To cater that requirement of communications, we have heterogeneous solutions to provide, right? So don't think that all these subsystems are connected via one single communication technology. No, they are having different communication technologies, right? We have here wide area monitoring and control, which is taking care of the large scale monitoring of, or large geographical area monitoring in terms of weather monitoring, climatic monitoring. Similarly, we have renewable and distributed energy generation sources also available. We have transmission enhancement applications. For example, we take care of the transmission line, we take care of the substation also automation. We have the advanced metering infrastructure, which we see subsequently, which is the foundation application apart from SCADA and MDMS. And we have EV charging infrastructure. I hope this is the buzzword today, electric vehicles, right? And everybody is going for the EV. Nowadays, government is promoting electric vehicles and customer side systems. Next slide, please. Now, before we go into the rest of the topic, let us first clarify the terminology. What terminology we have used here, right? There are two things: applications and parameters. I say this is critical. Why critical? Because it is very crucial, very important. The main emphasis or the focus of the smart grid is on them, and that is why they are called critical applications and critical parameters. That means there are other applications also, there are other parameters also which are non-critical, which are there but not included here. Okay, so don't have an understanding that okay, these are the only applications, these are the only parameters. No, but most of the important part which we have segregated and presented here, and which are critical applications and critical parameters, without which the smart grid cannot be completely realized. Okay, the plethora of applications, large number of set of applications which are implemented under the smart grid domain are called critical applications. These applications are catering the customized needs of various stakeholders and serving very specific purposes. Okay. Similarly, the crucial parameters which impact and represent overall as well as subdomain wise functionality. There are various subdomains we have seen, right? Functionality of each subdomain will be also represented, as well as overall smart grid will also be represented in terms of functionality and performance by these parameters, and that is why they are known as critical parameters, crucial parameters. Okay. These parameters are very important as they are key performance indicators, right? They are characteristic representatives, right? Just like ECG, right? So ECG represents everything. A good doctor, right? A learned doctor, right? Let's say somebody has got an orthopedic problem. It has got nothing to do with the ECG from the superficial level, right? But they will ask you that by ECG karalo, right? Even from the ECG, the domain expert doctor will definitely be able to make out whether you are having a sound sleep or you are having a sleepless night. So ECG is not only the characteristic representation of our heart activity. No, it is having the data about the entire body, right? So if you are able to interpret ECG, you can interpret the entire body's functionality, entire body's performance, entire body disease, everything, right? Similarly, these KPIs, these parameters are characteristic representative parameters. If you study these parameters, if you optimize these parameters, you can study smart grid, you can optimize smart grid entirely. Okay, and that is why these parameters are also constraints or bottlenecks, right? If you optimize them, this bottleneck or this constraint can be relaxed or this can be reduced, right? But optimization can take place within the constraints, within the boundaries of these parameters. That must be remembered. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. So broadly, there are 6 7 classifications of applications, and details of applications we shall see in subsequent slide, but these are the broad things. Advanced metering infrastructure, the most important, then the primary application of any smart grid installation is AMI, advanced metering infrastructure. Second is condition monitoring and automation of subsystems. Condition monitoring means regularly collecting data about the power equipments, those equipments which are included in the power generation, power transmission, power distribution, right, including the high tension cables, right, power network monitoring, health monitoring and condition monitoring, home automation network, right? Yet in India we have not reached up to that level. Demand response, demand response is a high level integration application which involves this kind of selection of utility, right? I want this company's power at my home, right? So I will select and that kind of power will be delivered to me. Similarly, you all of you are aware about the peak, right? And for peak shaving, we are using this demand response and integration of solar and other renewables. Next slide, please. Okay. What services are provided by these applications, that we shall see. Advanced metering infrastructure will take care of regarding interval measurement, load control, prepayment, right? You can have prepaid electrical energy, just like prepaid smartphone. The prepaid telephony, right? You can have prepaid electricity for 1 month. This means much amount I am recharging, and after that amount of electricity I will consume. Let's say 5 kilowatt, 10 kilowatt, right? Automatically the power will be off. Tariff flexibility that we have seen, communication and data security. Similarly, in monitoring and automation subsystems, we will have local as well as remote energy flow control, right? We can have regional load management on those kind of things. Similarly, in home automation network also, we can have local level control of devices, consumer side load management. In power network monitoring, we can monitor the losses. We can also take care about the power flow and its rerouting in case of there is a problem with the network. In case of there is a problem with the cable network, further we can automate that also, right? Based on the requirement, we can write a program to automatically reroute the power in case of any failure, right? No manual rerouting will be required. Similarly, demand response will take care about the load adjustment and dynamic pricing. Dynamically, suppose somebody is available with power, right? And you want to consume power, right? But the consumers are less in terms of, so the consumers will have the ability to negotiate, right? So dynamically pricing will be updated, and accordingly you can take a benefit of that. Integration of renewable like solar, wind, and hydro. Supervisory control, automated control of transmission, distribution, substation automation, and plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. See, this there is a new concept which I would like to share with you. People have started using hybrid electric vehicles or electric vehicles for storing the electricity also, right? That is how they are able to damp out the fluctuations, right? This is a new concept which is at international level developing. Next slide, please. Now we shall see what are the communication requirements of different applications, right? Here all applications I have included, right? Most of the critical applications I have included. For example, automated metering infrastructure, right? That we have seen. Demand response, that we have seen, right? These are the requirements are specified in terms of data rate and latency. You can see the requirement that the latency requirements are so crucial and critical, right? So latency specific requirements are to be satisfied by the communication technology which we are going to select, right? Otherwise, what will happen? For example, let's say my requirement for AMI is 2 to 15 seconds, right? So minimum is 2 seconds. What is the meaning of latency? The delay of 2 seconds is permissible. If the packet reaches delayed by 2 seconds, more than 2 seconds, right, then it is not permissible. Okay. Similarly, demand response 0.5 second, 0.5 second to 180. See, this is a large range I have given. This is from UTC, Universal Telecommunication Council. But as far as the latency is concerned, we should select or we should go for the smallest values. As far as data rate is concerned, we should go for the higher side values so that we can have robust communication technology selection. All right. So wide area situational awareness, that means taking care about the climatic situation, climatic variations or weather fluctuations and reporting it. That is called wide area situational awareness. 0.02 seconds, right? Specifically in the areas like Uttarakhand, right, which are having very wild swings in terms of climatic situations, right? So you have a very high speed communication system, right? So you need to select a communication technology which can report this change measured by the sensors or this system WASA within 0.02 seconds. This is how one should interpret it. Okay. Similarly, distributed energy resources and storage, that we have also discussed. Distributed grid management or generation management. Video surveillance, this is also one of the important area. Wherever there are important assets of the electricity distribution, all will be monitored by video surveillance, right? And that is also part of smart grid. Operational telephony between different substations, between different critical installations, right? There would be direct telephony, right? And that will be also part of smart grid. SCADA, it is also very well part of smart grid. Substation automation. Next slide, please. Overhead transmission line monitoring over a period of time, because of the weather effect, climatic conditions, because of many other things, right? The condition of the transmission line is getting worse, right? And that is why we need to take care about them. Their health monitoring, their condition has to be monitored. For that, this OTLM is used. Then next is home energy management, outage management. Outage management in a particular area. Suppose the electricity has failed. Now, failure of electricity is because of many reasons, right? Not only a cable failure, right? So that area should be quickly islanded and then isolated, and then after restoring it back, it should be again rejoined. That is called outage management. Distribution automation, asset management, meter data management system, peak load management. Yes, there are duration in the day when the load is having a peak, during a particular night time, during a particular morning time, right, when almost everybody starts consuming, right? So that time the consumption is on a peak, right? At that time there will be a lot of stress on the grid, and subsequently the stress on the utility companies to produce and distribute the power. That peak, if we can reduce or shave, right, that would be very helpful, as well as that would be resolving lot of fluctuations on the grid, right? So peak load management is important critical application. Power quality management, of course, and distribution transformer monitoring. So these are 19 different critical applications which we have identified and mentioned here with their critical communication requirements. Next slide, please. Okay. Now let us discuss what is advanced metering infrastructure. I will not discuss all applications, but as far as the smart grid is concerned, this is the most important application, and that is why I will discuss. We are here in home, right? We are having our own devices, we are having our own appliances, and we are having a smart meter. We are having the generators also. We are having a local small windmill. So we are not consumers, we are prosumers, right? We are having a smart meter which will have both things recorded, how much we are consuming and how much we are generating. Right now there is a fashion to have two different meters, right? But they can be integrated into one meter also, right? Okay. These kind of many different any questions? Any questions, Pramila ji? Hello. Kindly keep your mic on the mute.
Sir, your mic is also muted, so please unmute it.
Yeah, I have just unmuted. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So this kind of different homes will be grouped together, and they will be forming this neighborhood area network. This neighborhood area network will be having one data aggregator unit, which will collect the data from all the smart meters which are installed in every home, right? Let's say one society. In one society, we are having this kind of number of homes which are smart homes, and each smart home is equipped with a smart meter, means consumption as well as production, and that data is collected by one small aggregator unit. This aggregator unit is just like a Wi-Fi router, and it collects the data from different devices connected. These devices are smart meters. Okay. On the other side of this data aggregator unit or data concentrator unit, is also called data concentrator unit, we have the meter data management system, right? MDMS. This meter data management system lies with the distribution company. Excuse me, my slideshow has ended.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Can you please mute the participant whose mic is on?
I already muted them.
But still some noise is coming.
No, sir, my
Okay. Am I audible? Can I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this MDMS, meter data management system, is lying or is it installed in the distribution company? So this requirement and production levels, whatever the data related to production and consumer requirement, are live fetched to the distribution company, which will send that data to the generation company here. Generation company accordingly increase their production or decrease their production depending upon the data received from the distribution company, and that will be monitored by SANET, that is sensor and actuator network, which is a local plant control system like DCS. Okay, this revised version of power, amount of power, will be produced and supplied via this power transmission and distribution network again to the prosumers. So this is a basic diagram or basic structure of the automated metering infrastructure, right? In our version, currently non-smart version, right, we don't have this feedback available, right? We don't have this feedback available. Without knowing exactly what is the generation of the power going on, right, we keep on turning on and turning off the devices, right? And that is why when the load increases beyond some limit, the power trip or power disconnection takes place, right? And that part is resolved here because now this is a feedback loop. Okay, next slide please. Using now wireless IoTs, the entire system is converted to wireless communication network, right? Where all the meters are connected via Wi-Fi or Zigbee. At local level in the home, it is connected via Zigbee or IoT. Similarly, from local level to data aggregator unit, it is connected via Wi-Fi. So this is all Wi-Fi, and via data aggregator to this utility company via distribution company, it is via fiber optic cable, right? So high speed data backbone is available. Not only the electricity meters, but nowadays the gas meters, the water meters, all are integrated. They are all meters and they are all acting like a wireless devices and contributing data in the bidirectional mode. Remember, right now our conventional meters are only metering the consumption, right? Now smart meters are not only metering the consumption, they are reporting the data of production as well as they are having the ability to turn on and turn off devices remotely. So suppose we are outside our home, right, and we want to turn on our air conditioner, we want to turn on our washing machine, right? We can connect with our smart meter and we can give the command. The smart meter will automatically operate the relay or that kind of device in our home, and accordingly the device will be. We can also schedule run of those devices based on the timing. For example, during off-peak hours, let's say during night time, the electricity company after 12:30, after 1 a.m., in the night period, the electricity company is offering us at a very reasonable rate the electricity, or during the off-peak time, it is availing the electricity at the cheap rate, right, or the comfortable rate. We can reschedule our washing machine, we can reschedule our non-critical things during that particular time period, and that is how we can optimize our electricity bill. Next slide please. Now we shall look at critical parameters. Critical parameters are reliability, scalability, interoperability, congestion, energy efficiency, latency, and security, right? These are the 7 different critical parameters which are identified. So first is important, very important, reliability. If something is not reliable, there is no question of its scalability, right? We cannot think even to increase its scale, right? So reliability is the most important critical parameter. Reliability of the smart grid will determine the popularity of the smart grid, right? If the smart grid is not reliable, it will not be opted by the consumers, right? It will be rejected. Okay. Scalability, can we expand it, right? If we can expand it, how much we can expand it? Can we include different types of prosumers, right? So that is called scalability. Interoperability, right? Interoperability means integration of two different smart grids, two different subsystems, right? Similarly, it goes up to the extent of device level. For example, in the device of one company we are using, right? Can it be replaced if it is faulty? Can it be replaced by the device of the other company, right? That is called interoperability. If it is creating the manufacturer dependency, then we cannot have the interoperability, right? For example, Apple is manufacturing smartphone or computers, right? Laptops, right? But they will need the Apple hardware only. They will need the Apple Macintosh operating system only, right? But Android is giving us the interoperability. For example, if you are having an Android phone or we are having a Windows computer, right, then we can have interoperability. We don't need to rely upon Microsoft. We can purchase the device from some other vendor, right? It is a compatible device and we can install and our work can go on. That is called interoperability. Congestion. Many times during the power transfer, during the communication also, there are situations like congestion where the network gets jammed, right? So that the congestion level, how much the network is getting congested, what are the reason for congestion, these are defined by this parameter congestion, network congestion, in terms of electricity transfer as well as in terms of communication data transfer. Energy efficiency. See, we are producing and distributing energy, electricity. But to do that, we are using some devices which are also consuming electricity, right? If that consumption is higher, the actual energy consumed by the user will be very, very less, right? For example, if our SPDT switches, your MCBs start consuming a high level of power, right, then actual energy consumed by us will be reduced, right? That is why energy efficiency of the devices which are involved in power network, right, are of very important, right? So energy efficiency is very important parameter. As you might aware, in thermal power station, 4 to 6 megawatt power is consumed by one boiler feed pump, right? So if you are generating 120 megawatt in your thermal power station, minimum 2 boiler feed pumps you are continuously running, one is standby, and that means 8 to 10 megawatt power is consumed by the boiler feed pump itself. That means you are not actually generating 120 megawatt. If you are generating on full capacity, you are generating only 110 megawatt, right? Similarly, all the devices which are there in the power station, their own consumption must be deducted and remaining power will be supplied to the distribution network. Now, when it is distributed and reaches to consumer, all the distribution network losses and all those things are to be deducted, right? So that is called energy efficiency. If we can bring that consumption to a lowest value, optimized value, then the overall energy efficiency of the grid increase. Latency, very crucial, very important, because if the latency is not followed, then the implementation of this smart critical applications will not take place in a true sense, right? There is no effective implementation, and because of that, what will happen? People will choose that. Let's say I will choose one particular utility company, right? But to implement that and to get that power rerouted to my home, if it is taking 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour, meanwhile my requirement is already over, right? So latency is a very, very important aspect here. And security of course is a very important aspect, right? Somebody is producing and that should not be reported in somebody else building. Somebody is consuming, that should not be reported in somebody else. So there should not be any power theft, right? Similarly, there are cyber security related issues also in this kind of network smart grids, and that has to be taken care under the security. Next. So I'm an instrument engineer and I will present my perspective on this, right? There is a Greek word. Every one of us might have heard this word, telemetry. Tele means remote, right? Whichever is available at a remote location, distant location. And metron means measure, right? So you are measuring something which is remotely located. You are measuring something which is not locally available. It is at some distance, right? So telemetry means you are measuring something and communicating that measurement values at remote location, right? That is called telemetry. Instrumentation telemetry is bidirectional, high performance, reliable, automated, intelligent communication system, right? By which measurements, control signals, and other relevant data could be acquired and acquisition from remote, inaccessible locations or points and transmitted to central monitoring systems like central control room. This particular system is actually implemented for monitoring, real-time monitoring, recording, control, alarm announcement, etc. And for example, in AMI, which we have seen, smart meter to DCU, we have one communication network, communication system, right? Bidirectional. Again, distributions DCU to head-end system, right? Meter data management system up to meter data management system, we have a communication network. That communication network is basically an instrumentation telemetry system. This is our perspective, right? So the communication network in the smart grid, communication system in a smart grid is nothing but an instrumentation telemetry system. Next slide, please. So what are the development related to smart grids in India? As we have discussed, globally as well as in India, the governments are upgrading the lifestyles of the citizens by modernizing the infrastructure and livelihood by transforming the legacy cities into smart cities and offering novel applications to enhance overall quality of lives, right? Seamless electricity supply is necessary 24/7, and old grids are quite inefficient and they cannot handle this much amount of things. And that is why smart grids are evolving, and they have attracted the attention of governments, industrialists, and researchers. In India, government has launched national smart grid missions in different states and union territories, under which 12 smart grid pilots in different states and 5 full-scale projects are implemented in different states and union territories. Government projects and pilots have been implemented with GPRS and RF 868 megahertz communication technologies. For full runtime reliability evaluation upon advice of NSGM, communication data sheets have been shared with us by Chamundeshwari Electricity Supply Company, CESC Mysore, and we have analyzed and we have developed a validation approach in our research work. Our findings and recommendations have been submitted to National Smart Grid Mission in a form of a technical report. This is what overall condition about the smart grid in India. Next slide, please. So here is a map. In this map, different smart grid pilots have been indicated by red colored marks, and full-scale projects have been indicated by the blue colored marks. Similarly, so UGVCL Naroda, Ahmedabad, Gujarat is a smart grid pilot. JVBNL Rajasthan has conducted one full-scale project. Similarly, in Chandigarh, there is a full-scale project. There are 2 full-scale projects. One full-scale project is in Ranchi, one in Rourkela city, and statewide, almost in every state, they have gone for different smart grid pilots. The largest pilot has been implemented by IIT Kanpur in Uttar Pradesh, incorporating almost all types of critical applications. Right from Gujarat to Guwahati, right, different smart grid pilots have been implemented from Himachal Pradesh to Mysore or Puducherry. Okay. Next slide, please. So this is a data which tells us that how many consumers have participated, what are the critical applications they have implemented. For example, AVVNL Ajmer, right? They have the smart grid pilot in which AMI, SCADA, and MDMS have been implemented, and 1,023 participants or 1,023 consumers have participated. APDCL Guwahati, 15,083 consumers have participated. Many different applications they have implemented, tried out. CSE Mysore have 20,926 consumers participated, and different applications they have tried out. As I have pointed out, next slide, please. Right, this is Gujarat's smart grid pilot at UGVCL Naroda. 22,230 consumers have participated. Mind well, these consumers are not all residential consumers. Some of them are industrial consumers, some of them are commercial consumers, some of them are institutions, some of them are the organizations, So wide variety industrial consumers. So wide variety of consumers are all they have participated, and they have shared their experiences, shared their feedback that what kind of experience they had in this smart grid pilot participation. As you can see, all pilots have utilized this RF 868 megahertz Zigbee and GPRS cellular 2.5G type communication system. In Manesar, Haryana, Smart Grid Knowledge Center has been implemented. If somebody is able to visit, it is worth visiting this place where they have prepared the test beds or setups for testing various things related to smart grid, including electric vehicle charging. Similarly, IIT Kanpur has a smart grid pilot project in which 17,000 consumers have participated, and they have different kind of networks, applications implemented. Next slide, please. I would like to share with you UGVCL Naroda Smart Grid pilot related information. Ahmedabad has already chosen as a potential smart city in phase 1 for smart city project of Government of India. One of the well established and successful smart grid pilot is available at Naroda, Ahmedabad. See, there is a reason behind selecting this place, Naroda. Naroda is a place where there are large number of residential consumers are already there, but there are some farms, there are some industrial area, Naroda GIDC. Similarly, airport is also nearby, Gandhinagar is also nearby, and that is why different types of consumers, all the varieties of consumers are also available. Many hotels are also nearby, and sorry, excuse me. This pilot has implemented with the help of vivid type of consumers, and that is how the feedback has been quite trustworthy. The project has been set up by UGVCL, which is Uttar Gujarat Wijj Company Limited, by Government of India funding under RAPDRP. Gujarat Energy Research and Management Institute, GERMI, they have been instrumental in development of this pilot. DDU, which is my parent organization, and GERMI are in collaboration for research in Smart City Smart Grid, Solar City Smart Grid, and an MOU signed in 2013 under Vibrant Gujarat, which was renewed in 2016-17 also. Right. So this is how we are involved in this particular project. Next slide, please. Yes, as I told you, here is the Naroda pilot project. It is nearby the Sabarmati River and airport of Ahmedabad, right? And the locality includes the various types of customer participation. The UGVCL is Uttar Gujarat Wijj Company Limited, which takes care of supplying electricity to different districts of Gujarat, and this particular area is typically catered by them, right? Of course, it is a part of Ahmedabad, but this pilot is conducted not by the Torrent, by the Uttar Gujarat Wijj Company Limited. Very successful pilot. We are having one stadium also available here. We are having one lake available, large number of industrial consumers, large number of commercial consumers, and almost all types of varieties of consumers we had. Next slide, please. Yes, so this is a kind of geographical map. If you see using Google Map and Bhuvan, with this particular image we have taken from Bhuvan, this marked area is the pilot area, right? Where the smart grid pilot, all the meters have been revamped to smart meters, and bidirectional communication has been established using RF and GPRS, and the meters have already started consuming, and the consumers have turned into prosumers. All are having the rooftop. Most of them are having the rooftop, and they are all integrated. Next slide, please. Yes, so Naroda is ready with successful pilot, and full Ahmedabad can be also integrated now, and the work is already in progress. Smart meters are already installed, and NAN and WAN connectivity has been already established. It is tested. Meters are already fetching the data, and proper interpretation analysis is also taking place at the head end of UGVCL, which is at Gandhinagar. Citizens in the area have been found quite satisfactory based on their feedback with the setup, and they are ready to participate in the next level, that is demand response. This entire project has been implemented by Power Grid, and initial project cost was around 82.70 crores, out of which 41 crore, 50% almost, was funded by the central government, rest of the funded by state government. Next slide, please. So we have conducted our study, and based on that we have analyzed the entire thing, and we have developed the SWOT analysis. There is no threat, so we have used challenges as the last word. Okay, what are the strengths of this work? Preliminary level of the foundation work has been completed. Pilot has been successful. Participant citizens are also very cooperative. That are the strengths. Weaknesses is connectivity and ICT infrastructure. We have found that the technologies used, RF and GPRS, are not quite satisfactory, and the performance is not found quite satisfactory. So they should be changed to either LTE or high-speed communication systems, because whenever the pilot will be run at full scale, right, the communication data and the bandwidth will be a critical bottleneck. Opportunity, the work itself is an opportunity in this particular thing. There are motivations from central and state government is also an opportunity. Training of citizens for this new upcoming changes is also an opportunity. Possible employments and commercial opportunities for everyone, these are all opportunities. But challenges is costing and revenue sharing, right? So signing the power purchase agreement between the utility company and the consumers, it's also a challenge how to work out. Of course, it is a commercial challenge, and as an engineer or as an engineering researcher, we are not directly involved in that, but it is also a challenge, big challenge. Costing and revenue sharing, subsidies in our country, refunds, investment payback period, these are the challenges. And last but not least, security of data and access, that is a challenge. So this was the SWOT analysis. Next slide, please. So here is a glimpse of our contributed publications in this area. 2 journal publications we have contributed in Elsevier scientific journals. One in RSER, Renewable and Sustainable Energy Reviews. Then impact factor, it was 6.8 around. Right now maybe it is around 11. And one is in Energies and Buildings. Right. Next slide, please. And this 5 conference publications. And for this latest one, we got this best paper award in this last conference paper, which we have presented at NIT Jamshedpur. Next slide, please. And these are the 5 book chapters we have contributed, all in Springer Nature. Next slide, please. 2 technical reports, one to JERMI and one to NSGM, Ministry of Power, Government of India. 2 technical bulletin articles and 2 technical magazine articles. Next slide, please. Okay, so what are the research funding opportunities available? If somebody is interested in doing research in this area, I have identified few funding agencies from the government. Of course, from the private companies, large amount of fundings are available. Like you can approach Siemens, you can approach GE, you can approach various companies like Power Grid, or private companies like Torrent, etc. But from the government side, DST is the largest source of research funding. And under SERB, Science and Engineering Research Board, we have this 4 areas: core research grant, NMICPS, industry relevant R&D, and intensification of research in high priority area. This area is a high priority area, it is identified, and in this under this head you can apply. Similarly, under Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, you can apply under NICE scheme, you can apply under IREDA scheme, as well as SECI scheme if it is solar related project. Right. Under Ministry of Power, there are Power Grid Corporation, Central Power Research Institute, and National Power Training Institute. They are also offering some grants. At state level, our Gujarat state, under minor research and major research project, we can also have grant from the Gujarat state or your state level Council of Science and Technology, which comes under DST. Next slide, please. So we here conclude our presentation with the conclusions. Today, the whole world India in particular has been observed undergoing major transformation. Technological advances are contributing towards the upgradation of livelihoods and end user convenience. In terms of users perspective, the whole scientific paradigm shift can be observed from traditional wired technologies to upcoming wireless technologies. But yet optimizing every facet of this change is vital and imperative. Smart grids, the energy backbones of the smart cities, offer and invite broad community of researchers and demonstrate huge potential for interdisciplinary kind of interesting and useful research work to be pursued. Not only engineering and technology, even exciting research works related to them with non-STEM disciplines like sociology and human anthropology are also inviting collaborative research. I have received so many invitations from the book editors which are publishing books, and they want to publish they are inviting the chapters on effect of smart grid implementation on social threads or human anthropology kind of or psychological kind of research. They are also very excited about this, and a lot of work has been carried out at international level. Some publications you can find on my Google Scholar also. Next slide, please. So please don't think that this is limited only to those professors or those faculty members who are working with the electrical engineering or instrumentation engineering or communication engineering. Even mechanical, civil, everywhere you can find useful research area or domain in under the smart grid. With this, I extend my special thanks to Dr. V.D. Dimman sir, principal of the institute, Professor Nimita Gajjar ma'am, head of the department, Dr. Urvi Patel, coordinator of the FDP, Professor Nimesh Patel and Professor Rupal Patel, both the co-coordinators of the FDP, and the entire FDP organizing team for giving me this wonderful opportunity to present my views and share my expertise. I'm also grateful and thankful to the valuable cooperation received from the management of the institute, Dr. S. and S.S. Gandhi, GEC Surat, my parent institute DDU Nadiad, Jeremy, and PDPU Gandhinagar, PDEU Gandhinagar now. And special thanks to enthusiastic and learned participants and everyone. Thank you very much. Now the session is open for the question answer, if any.
So participants can unmute and ask questions.
Can I ask questions, sir?
Yes, please go ahead.
Sir, it was really very nice regarding the smart grid, which is already implemented in Naroda. But I have one question regarding, like, from this conventional, what will be the steps they will be taking to upgrade it? Like, I am basically a Rajkot. Then if they are coming for smart grid, if they are approaching the consumers, then what are the pre-qualifiers the consumer should have? Or what are the things they will tell us that how to approach for smart grid?
Okay, very nice and relevant question. Thank you very much. May I know your good name, please?
My name is Chandni Shah. I am lecturer at AVPTI College, Rajkot.
Okay, thank you, Chandni. Actually, the government agencies like JEDA, right? They will approach the people, or if you want to participate as a community, right? You can also approach them. They will come at your place, and they will their engineering team will come at your place and investigate the entire region, that how much power production capability you have, how much solar capability you have, how much power you can produce, and based on that they will offer one agreement which you have to sign with your local utility company, which is known as PPA, Power Purchase Agreement, right? So based on that agreement, your produced power will be purchased by that utility company. There would be some rate fixing and commercial part associated with that. Similarly, they will also investigate that are you able to participate in this kind of pilots, right? And at a regional level, small pilots will turn into microgrids slowly. This is their strategy, right? And after connecting the microgrid, right? See, as far as the power consumption is concerned, you will not have any difference. It would be be as same as possible. And at this level, slowly your meters will be converted to smart meters with bidirectional communication facility. So first step would be implementation of AMI. After that, all are having AMI, and slowly they will implement it in terms of microgrids. They will go ahead with the demand response. Right? Yet demand response stage has not yet started. Right? But slowly it is going to be the next phase of the implementation. Right? So this is how it is going to be implemented. The change is there. The change is implemented, but it is a slow and systematic.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions, please?
The consumer side, any investments requirement is that?
No, not much. Even for smart meters also, they are not charging from you.
But some additional thing must be added to make it smart.
No,
So
if at a later stage, suppose you want to participate in demand response kind of things, right? Then some devices at your level you need to install, which are like you can remotely turn on your devices. For that, whatever the accessories are required, that you have to implement. But that will come at a later stage. Right now, only willingness is sufficient.
So I think we are far away from real implementation of a smart grid.
That the work is going on. Government is doing a nice job here, right? But again, because of this COVID-19 as well as the other situations, right, these things have been delayed, but it is not stopped, thankfully. The whole power sector is being revived by the government.
Sir, one more question from Chandni Shah, sir.
Please, welcome.
Sir, like I have one query, like recently Gujarat faced the Taute cyclone. Like if anything of such kind happens, then how will it will be manageable? Like at present also, all the engineers of PGVCL and JETCO were like upside down managing all these things for reinstalling all the electric potentials, all substations. Then in smart grid, like I think many things will be damaged. Then reinstallation of power maybe become difficult, because since people are like if they are paying prepaid, then how will they get their restored electricity? What will be like if they have 2 kilowatt energy in their pre bucket? Then will they get that same back or something like that?
Okay. So I have understood the question that whenever we have the climatic conditions or this kind of catastrophic events like earthquake, tsunami, cyclone, right? You might have seen one interesting critical application called WASA, we call it, Wide Area Situational Awareness, which will not only take care of the measurement of the ambient parameters, right? But it will also have prediction softwares. Right, so all the disaster management activities and this kind of fault related activities are simulated, and the staff will be kept well in advance. They will be kept ready to face. See, we cannot stop cyclone, right? But we can definitely prepare the things well in advance, right? So if you can remember, when we had a cyclone or those kind of catastrophic events, right, our response was quite minuscule, and because our preparation was not good. But right now, from last 2-3 years, 5 years, the response of the disaster management team has already improved, and because of that we are quickly able to bounce back and restore the conditions. Right now, location to location, it may take a little more time, little higher time, but most of the things are restored. I hope it is. So for that,
Yes,
smart grid is also having one particular specific applications which will take care of this.
Okay.
And if you have a prepaid meter, right? Okay, if you have a prepaid meter, you are already for example, if somebody has recharged their mobile phone, right, and after the cyclone is over, that balance is not vanishing. Right? Similarly, this prepaid energy, if you have purchased, your balance will remain in your meter, and as soon as it is restored back, you can start consuming.
Okay, okay.
Right? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any further question? Somebody has raised the hand.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Sir, I have one question that we know that all these technologies like smart metering or advanced meters, smart meters, all these things reduces manpowers. But in country like us in India, where population is very high, so these things also reduces the jobs of many people. So how we deal with this?
Okay. In 1984, when 85, when the then government have introduced computers in the banks, right? The entire banking staff went on strike, right? And they said that these computers will be replacing us, and we will get the job problem, and the employment will come down drastically. Even today, none of the, either it is a private bank or even if it is a government PSU bank, none of the staff has been removed because of the technological upgradation, right? So in any area, it may be a banking and finance sector, or it may be in power production and distribution sector, technological upgradation will give you opportunities, but it will not result into related problems related to unemployment. This is what I believe, right? The existing staff need to gear up by taking the trainings to handle the situations, and as a new staff, new engineers are coming with already, they are equipped with the computer and communication network related knowledge, and they are young people. They can be easily given training to work upon novel technologies, right? So I don't think this is going to happen.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yes.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, please.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Very informative session. I'm Dixit Pathak from
Thank you.
GC Godhra. Yeah. So I have one
Okay.
question. Like in off-grid rural electrification, there is already the bus and all the systems are there. So which are the major modification will be required for putting modification with normal grid convert into smart grid?
Okay.
Hello?
So first of all, there are, okay, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See, all these stakeholders which I have shown to you, right? Consumers, distribution companies, production companies, all will have transformation at their end, right? For example,